Hi, this is the computer I use in this video. I will show you how to build a server that manages the hardware and software in your network. First, you install the operating system for the target computer. I use a USB drive to create the OS installer. The operating system used in this video is Ubuntu server. You go to the Ubuntu homepage and download the latest installer. This is the Ubuntu server installer. After it is downloaded, it is about 2 GB in size. At the time of this video, the latest version is 22.04. You therefore need a USB drive of at least 4 GB in size. I recommend you to use software called Rufus to create a bootable installer. You download the latest version of Rufus software. You open Rufus, select the USB drive, browse to the file with the ISO extension downloaded in the previous step. Rufus will erase the data on your USB drive. After a few minutes of waiting, you will have a bootable Ubuntu server installer. You plug this USB stick into the target computer and access the UEFI BIOS. In the UEFI BIOS, you set up the computer to boot from a USB drive. Save your changes and restart your computer. And here are the steps to install Ubuntu server. You choose the language, the keyboard. Next, you set up a static IP address for the Ubuntu server. Depending on the range of IP addresses you use, assign the Ubuntu server a suitable static IP address. I assign this server IP address 192.168.1.50. Then you select the hard drive and format it. I recommend you to use the default setting. Next, you are asked to create an administrative account for the Ubuntu server. This account is used many times in the next steps, so don't forget it. You name the server as you like. You install OpenSSH server to access this Ubuntu server from another computer on the same local network. The preparation steps have been completed. Now you install Ubuntu server to the target computer. It takes about 5 to 10 minutes to complete. You wait until a screen asks to restart the computer. You remove the USB stick from this computer and restart the computer. Wait a moment for the Ubuntu operating system to boot. You use the admin account created in the previous step to log in Ubuntu server. And here is the IP address of the Ubuntu server, just like I set it up in the previous step. In the same local network, I use a laptop to access the Ubuntu server using SSH. On a Windows computer, you open a command window. You use the admin account and IP address of the Ubuntu server to remotely access it using a command called SSH. This is a summary of the steps to build a computer software and hardware management server. You will use quite a few commands to build the server. To simplify the work, I will put the link to download this file in the description. You just need to copy and paste these commands to finish. To build the hardware and software management server, I use open source software called OCS. Before installing OCS, update and upgrade the Ubuntu server operating system. Next, you install Apache, MariaDB and PHP, also known as LAMP installation. OCS is built on Perl, so you install packages for Perl. You make sure Apache 2 is running. Next, make sure MariaDB is running. Then you check the PHP version. As you can see, you just copy and paste the commands, then press enter. Next is to install Perl modules. Next, you create a new database. In this case, I create a new database named OCSDB. Username is OCS user and password is OCSPWD. You can create a database with a different name if you want. Do not forget the information about the database to connect to it in the next part of the video. Next, you customize the PHP configuration. You customize memory, file size, execution time for PHP. And don't forget to set the time zone for PHP. Then you restart Apache 2 to apply the changes. Now you download the OCS installer to the Ubuntu server. After downloading, you extract it. Next, you browse to the folder after it is unzipped. You edit the file name setup.sh. You update the database username and password. You save your changes and close the file. Next, you run the file name setup.sh. You use the Enter key for all options. OCS has been installed successfully. Next, you apply the Apache 2 configuration to OCS. Next, you edit the following files. You update the database name, username and password of the database. Next, you restart Apache 2 to apply the change. This is the IP address of the server. On a Windows computer, open any browser and access the OCS server using the IP address. You are asked to enter information about the database. You enter the database name, username and password to connect to the database. Successful connection. OCS default username and password are both admin. You update OCS, then log into the system using the default username and password. You rename the file as instructed to ensure the safety of the system. You access the folder named OCS Reports. Then you rename the file install.php to install php.pk. OCS server is done. Now I will add a Windows computer to this system. On your Windows computer, you install OCS Agent. You install OCS Agent with administrative rights. You connect to the OCS server using the IP address. Next, you set up OCS Agent as above. Go back to the OCS management page and you will see a Windows computer managed by OCS. The system will tell you a lot of information about this Windows computer. Includes operating system version, hardware and software installed on it. You do the same to add computers in your network to the OCS system. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and help me 600,000 subscribers. Good luck.